Thanks for coming to hear the Word on the Street. I am your bongo host, Vince. And with me, I've got your bearish, forget it, worth host, Josh. How you doing over there today?
I can't complain. It's another wonderful Monday.
Yeah, good. Were you able to hear the stupid thing that I did?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
So it picked it up in your recording, but not for me listening, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
you'll hear it. You'll hear it in the edit.
Oh, that'll be funny.
All right, that's gonna be fun. Anything notable happened to you this week? What could we?
No, nothing too crazy. Just a normal everyday work week. Enjoyed my weekend off and started the week off strong. How about
That's
you? Anything
nice.
exciting?
I went back to work today after my 2-week vacation. Yeah,
that
you know what it was?
Miserable.
Yeah, it was like work.
Yeah,
It was almost exactly like work. But after work, come home and start doing Word on the Street. It's this podcast where Josh over there and me both pick one word from the 28 generated from the puzzle word game Wordle, and we talk about whatever the hell we can based on them. Our words this week are coming from June 5th through the 11th. If you want to see what those are, hop on over to our Twitter. Is probably the most reliable place that you can see where the words are.
That's for sure.
Just see what you think we get. Stop now. Go see what you think we picked, and then keep listening. Welcome back. Josh is starting this week. What do you got for me, Josh?
So this week I decided to pick audio as my word. Very, very broad word, I know, but I think I have a different approach than, we already talked about music per se and what favorite albums, favorite songs, that kind of stuff. I wanted to talk more about the audio itself and the power of audio.
Yeah.
So it made me start to think about the way audio makes people feel or how it interacts with your sensory system within your body. Do you ever get goosebumps or chills from listening to music?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
for me, it's usually I have a decent sense for music. So it's whenever something subverts my expectations, is when I get the chills.
Okay. So believe it or not, only about 50% of people seem to feel that.
Really?
Yeah. They did a study in 2016, and only 50% of the people that were in the study ever felt goosebumps or chills from listening to music or watching a movie.
Wow.
Something along that. So it's not everyone. And that led them to dive into try to figure out why. So that I didn't know this, but it actually has a name. Frisian, I think is how you're gonna say it. I wasn't aware of this until
Frisson.
Yeah.
Frisson. Yeah, it's a French word.
Yeah. So musical chills, auditory response, visual stimuli.
You know why I know that?
Why?
I got kind of fascinated about ASMR. Do you have that reflex, the ASMR reflex?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't. So I was curious about ASMR, and all the articles that I found was ASMR versus Frisson.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's the only reason I know this word.
Yeah. So of course, I've always been fascinated by it because I'm highly susceptible to this. So more so than most, I think. And it made sense once I started looking into it. So they figured out that from that study, like I said, 50% of the people, felt that emotion or had that response to something. And then they were able to take those people and have them get MRIs. And they figured out that the people that were affected by it and had that response have more white matter in their brains. So it's like the connective tissue,
of course,
between stuff. So
okay,
they have more activity in like their cerebral cortex and more connective tissues, which controls like the fight or flight.
Okay,
stuff.
Is white matter like the folds, the things that make you smart, unlike koalas?
No.
Okay.
It's more like, okay, so the brain itself is the computer.
Yeah.
The white matter are the plugs that connect everything together. So like it doesn't control necessarily like intelligence per se, maybe, but maybe maybe more so cognitive response. Like if you have more, have more throughput.
Yeah. The white matter is the PCI lanes.
Yes.
On a motherboard.
Yeah.
Turbo nerd. Yeah. For a second there.
Turbo nerd. Correct. So actually, yeah, they have more of that in there, which in turn enhances everything and how they feel. So I wasn't aware of this until I started looking into it. This was probably actually a couple years ago that I started thinking about this stuff. And there are tiny little muscles at the bottom of every hair follicle in your body. And what causes goosebumps or the chills is those muscles contract, pulling on the hairs to get them to stand up. It's more seen in like fight or flight situations because it's supposed to like have a protective barrier between your body and the outside world. So it's kind of like a porcupine, except not as effective. Yeah. Right. So yeah. So those little muscles contract, and that's what makes them stand up. And audio can play a huge factor in making those contract. It's said to people with much higher, not intellectual. That's not the right word. That's not what I'm looking for. Emotional. That's the one. The brain. I didn't have enough white matter there for me to find that correlation. But yeah, people that have a more emotional response to things and that feel a lot more emotion tend to be the ones that are affected by this. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool, and it made me start to think about when that happens for me. And for me, it's music most of the time. I mean, it happens a lot with music, but for me, a lot of it is like music case usage. So when a music fits a specific scene in a TV show or a movie, that's when it really gets me, because it's like, it's correlated with a feeling, and it puts me, it immerses me into that situation. And it gets me all the time. Yeah, I definitely get what you are saying about how it affects you. I think I'm in the same way, but because I'm not as technical when it comes to music knowledge.
Well, I'm more of a textures person, I think, when it comes to music, like the situational awareness of music. Like I don't really connect with, and a lot of times lyrics are secondary to me also. So
yeah,
it's really just about the textures for me.
So while you said, it's more the textures and the technical side of things that make you things that surprise you.
Yeah. I think I said subvert my expectations, but yeah, I mean, I love songs. I have at least, I know. I have at least like 3 songs on my liked songs playlist that are just basically 3 songs in one. Like it's a 4-minute runtime and the song changes significantly 3 times.
Yeah, I think I feel that similarly, but not with the notes so much. From like the instrumentals, which is like you said, lyrics tend to play second for you. But I think that also is why I love like all the singing shows, because it's the same thing. I feel that all the time when I'm watching those, when somebody surprises me.
Yeah, sure.
You know, when you don't expect them to sound the way they sound, and it just makes it that much better.
That's why you picked that Susan Boyle album as your favorite album of all time, right?
Susan Boyle.
Yeah. You remember that? You remember that lady from the British X Factor?
I definitely remember it, but I was like, you made me second guess myself. I'm like, I didn't pick that. What are you talking about? She definitely surprised everyone though.
Yeah, she sure did.
There's somebody like that almost every season.
Yeah.
But yeah, that gets me all the time. And it really made me start thinking about movies and songs, television shows and songs, song recognition. And I actually had a conversation with my nephew not too long ago about this. So when you think Eye of the Tiger, what do you think of the song Eye of the Tiger?
Dan's the man, going to work, got his tie, got ambition. One day he just might become supervisor. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
There was a Starbucks double shot commercial set to the tune of Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, I do remember
that. Dan's the man, going to work. Got his tie, got ambition.
Yeah, I do.
That's
remember
what
that.
I think of.
Okay, so you think of that.
It's not what you were expecting me to say, but it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, that's the thing. That's
correlation that I have.
Everyone has different correlations with different songs. Now, most people would say that they correlated with Rocky.
What's Rocky?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So it really made me start to think about that. And it's, do those songs fit into the scene, or does the inclusion of the song change its meaning based on the movie scene or television scene? So is the song fitting the movie, or is the movie fitting the song? And I think there's a lot of different ways to think about that. There's a lot of songs that had initial success when they were released, but then had substantially more success once they were included in a scene, because you're giving somebody an even more emotional response, because it goes from just audio to audio and visual.
Right. Well, it may not even be that. It may, and this is a little teaser of what's going to come, it may cross a generational divide.
True.
Do you watch Stranger Things?
Nope.
Do you know who Kate Bush is?
Yes, I know the song that you're talking about, that everybody's like freaking out. They're like, oh my God, how good the song is. And it's been forever. That
song is charting again.
Yep.
Because a new generation just learned about Kate Bush, and she's, phenomenal. She's one of the most unique singers to ever exist. I only knew Wuthering Heights by Kate Bush. It literally until this season of Stranger Things. So it's funny that, and people are like, oh, these stupid kids only now heard of it. But it's like, it crosses a generational divide. This, only the best of the best, like the S tier music makes it out of the generation. Mm-hmm. That's why people think that, music used to be better.
Yeah. Well, it becomes bigger than the song.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
it's a cultural phenomenon now.
Yeah. Like, obviously this one would have been big either way, I feel, but the scene in Wayne's World with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah.
Made a huge difference in people that are our age knowing Queen
that's
song.
What I saw. That's what I saw some Gen Xers say is, you guys are, ragging on these kids for not knowing Kate Bush, as if we had any idea who Queen was before Wayne's World.
Yep. I mean, some people did if they listened to the same stuff as their parents, but it's all, we're all just, products of our environment or surrounding.
Yeah, certainly.
So it got me thinking about some other movies and popular songs and some of my favorites. I don't know if you'll have any that you can share, so I'll talk about mine first. But if you think of any, feel free to jump in and interrupt.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll start off with, I obviously already said Wayne's World and Bohemian Rhapsody because that was one of the first ones that came to my mind that was like super prevalent.
Yeah, for sure.
Then I kind of went a complete different type of movie, but really made me think about it. And this one does kind of stem from like a musical, but You're the One That I Want with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Like,
yep.
Everyone our age associates this song to Grease.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's just you hear this, you immediately know it transports you into that movie.
I think I may have thought that it was from Grease.
Yeah, it very well could be, but I'm saying it has that ability to teleport you right back into the scene of the movie just by hearing it. It fits it so well. And this leads me into one of my next ones, which is, God, I can't think of the name of the song right now. I could picture the movie.
Okay.
Hold on.
Would I know the song?
You will. I don't know if you would have known the song outside of. Yeah, you definitely do.
Okay.
Stuck in the Middle with You.
Oh yeah. This was in a thing.
Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, okay.
That dancing scene where he's doing the.
I've only seen Reservoir Dogs once.
Yeah. So in the scene. In the movie, he's dancing to it, kind of like, he's torturing the guy.
Yeah.
And he's just dancing to it, and it shows like how it fit perfectly. Like it doesn't describe the situation the way you would think, but it fits perfectly, and it really helps paint the narrative of like how crazy he is and like how little he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So that was a big one that stuck out to me. Risky Business. With Tom Cruise and Old Time Rock and Roll when he's doing the dance in the hallway. Is one of the most iconic, I feel, uses of that song.
Should we be leapfrogging this, going back and forth? Because
we can if you have some.
I do have a few.
Yeah,
I do have some.
They'll take over.
The first thing that came to my mind was in Fight Club, basically credit song, Where Is My Mind by the Pixies.
Yep. When they're looking out the window.
That song is tied to that scene for me. And it's a great song. I love the Pixies. I like a few other songs by them now, but I don't know if I would have discovered that song or them without that.
That is true.
And then I'll maybe catch up to you and do another one. This is a more recent one too. Is the song "Common People"?
Yeah,
by Pulp.
Yep.
I didn't know it until season 2 of Westworld.
Huh. I've never watched Westworld. I just happened to. I know the song because it was on a playlist on Spotify.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I heard of that song. So like I listened to that song and it's
immediately makes you think of that.
Yeah, I mean it resonates with me because of the context, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sort of thing that you're getting at, right? Like just I'm kind of talking about like songs that you discover from movies.
Yeah, well, I mean it's kind of the same thing because it gives you that. It gives you you have an emotional connection to that song based on that movie or that scene and how it made you feel. Because if that piece of music didn't fit that scenario perfectly, you wouldn't remember it.
Right.
Whether you would just like the song or not. I mean, maybe you're different, but very few people will just hear something in the heat of the moment and immediately look it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it had to be memorable enough that they were like, wow, like that made me think of, it just checks all the criteria, fits that made him feel some type of way, as the kids say.
Yeah. Some type of way puts you in your feels.
Yeah.
It's funny because my wife Nicole has this sort of thing that she remembers exactly the first time that she heard a song or something. So a lot of times she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I heard this in whatever," and it's like, that's amazing. But I guess some of the songs that I have on my playlists are that way.
Yeah. Well, they make important motions for you,
Yeah, for sure. One of the ones that I don't personally connect with, but I know is a thing. This is not one of my lists. This is an aside. Is why am I blanking on the song right now? I love it. Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap. You would know a sample from the song.
Okay.
If anything, but it starts like in the OC. It's like a very pivotal scene in the OC that basically rocketed shipped this song to fame. And I don't know who sampled it. Maybe Rihanna, maybe Jason Derulo. It's the Ooh, What You Say song.
Oh yeah, Jason Derulo.
Right. Jason Derulo, yeah. But that song like gained popularity from the OC.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of them. Think about like Happy from Pharrell Williams, and that's
that.
Huh? Would you say who's that?
No, I know who Pharrell is.
I was like, wait a minute.
I saw Pharrell in concert.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to see NERD in college.
Oh, cool.
And he was awesome. Like NERD put on a damn good show. It was NERD, and then 3 Days Grace was headlining. And I gotta say, NERD like brought down the house way harder than 3 Days Grace.
That makes sense. I saw 3 Days Grace as well. That was actually my first concert. 3 Days Grace, Puddle of Mud, and Breaking Benjamin, and it was not great.
Really?
Yeah, Breaking Benjamin was horrible.
Oh God.
Puddle of Mud was great. Breaking Benjamin is like, I couldn't believe how bad the guy sounded in person.
Oh really?
Yeah. Because in the songs he sounds great, not so much live. 3 Days Grace was okay. But I don't know. They didn't leave me super impressed. Puddle of Mud was amazing.
I can imagine they put on a great show.
Yeah. It was just, I don't know. It was almost like 3 Days Grace. They just, they thought more of themselves, it felt like.
They were coasting at that point.
They were just chilling. Their songs were all ones that people could just yell out. So there was just no energy. Like the crowd was carrying the stuff, not the artist.
Yeah.
So,
How many of your songs have you done? I know you put 5 on the dock.
Oh, I still have 3 more.
You still have 3 more. Okay, yeah. So you can go next because I already did 2.
Okay.
And I'm still trying to come up with them.
This one, I doubt you'll know, and most people probably won't. But I don't know what for whatever reason why it stuck with me, because I don't know if the song was written for the movie or not. It's not even a popular song. This just sticks. It just stuck in my head, and it's called "Dear Life" by Anthony Hamilton, and it's from the movie Step Up.
Okay, cool.
And it is just a pivotal moment in the movie where they're kind of, the two main characters are unsure of their relationship in the thing. And Channing Tatum's character is kind of just, really thinking about life. And it just paints it perfectly. It's like him on a bus, head out the window. And I think the reason that gets me is because that's how I was in high school. Head on the window, headphones in, listening to music, and just thinking about life. Yeah. And I think that scene just correlated with me so well that song has stuck with me. I mean, I think Step Up came out in 2007, 2009, somewhere in there. I had to guess.
It's impossible to figure it out.
Yeah, because there's 9,500 of them now, and
and
who wants to Googles? But yeah, that makes me think of that. And every time I hear that song, I actually have a playlist on Spotify called The Walk Through Life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is all songs that put me in a place or time when I listen to them, whether it's a place or time in the movie or something that connects with me in a specific place in my life, or things that I feel like could fit into a movie. They all get grouped into this one playlist. So when I listen to it, it's kind of like sensory overload, because it's like it just takes me on this ride of different memories and emotions for every song that I hear.
Yeah, that is a cool idea for a playlist. I may do that, because I'm finding a bunch of songs that I like associate with movies and stuff, or that I have a particular.
Yeah, it's like a musical memory lane.
Yeah, right.
It really made me start thinking about it. And I know I already shared this with you, but for the podcast, they don't know about it. But
get it on the mic.
Get it on the mic. I started. I listen to a lot of random playlists all over on Spotify, and music TikTok is huge for me. Yeah, it's probably the number one thing I see the most of on TikTok, whether it be singers or actual musicians. But there is a band called the Nicotine Dolls, and the guy has an amazing voice, and they have a song. It is called, look up the name of it, Till We Both Say. And it paints the perfect picture of like a late 90s, early 2000s sitcom.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could think of your basic love scene, or, the walk through Central Park kind of, it would fit. This song could fit perfectly. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Serendipity with John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale.
I think I did once.
This song could fit perfectly in that scenario. It's just your stereotypical kind of love story. And I heard it, and immediately I fell in love with the song. And it's not because, like I said, it's kind of stereotypical. Like the guy's voice is amazing, don't get me wrong, and their use of instruments to paint the scene is perfect. But
yeah,
I don't think I would like the song as much as I do if it didn't automatically teleport me into that mindset. I heard it and I was like, wow, this could be I had to immediately look it up to see if it was from a movie and if I had heard it there before, but it hasn't been used in anything that I could find. But it just was perfect. So that really made me start thinking about all this even more. I just love the way it can push you into a different headspace. So that's obviously on my playlist. Yep.
I've been looking for this song because I've had a song like this too that sounds like a sitcom song. It's the way that I've found it was from an intro to a McElroy family podcast that I really like, but it's called Money Won't Pay by Bo N with Augustus, and it's exactly like that. It's like a 90s sitcom intro song. It's really cool.
Continue talking. I'm going to look this up.
Bo N, BO space EN. Money Won't Pay. I'll go on to my next one then. This is a twofer. The show Mr. Robot. I talked about it when we talked about shows, but it was really influential on me. And a couple songs really like clicked with me, maybe because I knew them already, but like wasn't intimately familiar, and this just like clicked together with me. But the final scene in Mr. Robot is set to Outro by M83.
Okay. And
that song just like hits in a different way now after seeing the end sequence of that show. And then along with that, the final season, like the final season of Mr. Robot, like tries to keep you off balance in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And in doing that, they play Run Away With Me by Carly Rae Jepsen on there, and it's one of my favorite songs by her. But it was just so funny that they almost play it for laughs, like it starts like it's a rom-com, and then it just sort of like cuts legs out from under the scene, playing to that song. But it's very cool, and I think I associate it with like airports now, that particular song, because that's where it plays. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that definitely is. Yeah, it's just fascinating to me because it's not something that you really sit down to think about most of the time.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff goes just unnoticed because it's just something we naturally do.
Yeah. I don't know if you didn't ask me this question. I don't know if I would have considered that this song sounds like an airport song to me,
Yeah. I can definitely get what you're saying. I only listened to the first about 10 seconds of it.
Yep.
Just so that I can hear it, but it immediately makes me think like Family Matter.
Yeah. Yep. That's actually exactly the part that I wanted you to listen to. That sax.
Yeah.
That sax intro is really.
It's so reminiscent of those early 90s shows. Honestly, that might be why one of the reasons I love saxophone so much is because I grew up listening to those, because I am a sucker for a good saxophone player.
Yeah, I hear you. Into Kenny G.
I don't follow him, but I've listened to a bunch of his stuff. He's good.
He is a funny dude, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard to just listen to that specifically. By itself. But I showed you that guy that I found on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Pilo.
Are you familiar with Sax Squatch?
Yes. It sounds familiar.
the Sax Squatch. He's a YouTube dude. He just dresses up as a Sasquatch, goes out into the woods, plays saxophone covers of songs on YouTube.
It's actually funny we're talking about this. So do you know who JP Saxton and Ben Rector are?
Nope. Ben Rector sounds familiar, but I'm not like familiar.
JP Saxton is the person that does If the World Was Ending. Do you know that song? If the world was ending, you come over, right? It's super popular right now, and probably has been for like the last year. But he needed he wanted a saxophone player, and he found this guy, I guess, online. And he was like a kid in school, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come play sax for me?" And he's just paying this kid all summer to, apparently, from what I heard, to just go on tour with him and play saxophone.
Oh, cool. That's how it starts.
Yep. Yeah. I was very, very happy about that. So this one, again, I'll go into, I don't think a lot of people know. You'll get the reference. I don't know if you'll remember it. Do you remember who Saigon is from Entourage?
No.
Okay. So it's the rapper that Turtle discovers when the car gets stolen and somebody leaves the CD in the car.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that scene. There's
a song in that they used to score Queens Boulevard in the movie.
And
it's by a real artist named Saigon. And that song for me is like the Entourage theme song in my head.
That's so good.
It puts me right back into every emotion I've felt during watching Entourage. It just paints it perfect. And it kind of, as weird as it might sound, it reminds me of like all of our friends.
Okay.
Because I think that's why I connect with Entourage so much, is because it feels, even though none of us may have been, big and famous, like that tight knit friend group that, is just always there. That's how we pretty much were. So it's kind of teleports me back into that. So that song is one of the ones that puts me in there.
What's the name of the song?
Let an N-word know.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep. But it just has that feel to it.
Yeah. I'll have to put that on a list.
Yep. And then this one's a little bit more widely known and more recent.
Okay.
But it is Shallow from A Star Is Born.
Okay.
Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I know the movie. I don't know the song.
Really?
No.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
Oh, well, that explains it. But this song like took the world by storm.
Oh yeah.
I mean it came out in 2018, and it has 1.3 billion plays on YouTube.
Okay.
So quite popular.
I would say so.
But it just depicts the movie perfectly, and obviously this one was written for the movie, so it's to be expected.
Is this a song written for this movie, or was it written for A Star Is Born originally?
I don't know.
Right.
That is a good question.
Was it written by Bette Midler?
Let's find out. Let's take a look. No, it looks like it's showing Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I mean, it's performed by them.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if and when.
I don't.
Written by Gaga.
Okay.
Lady Gaga with Andrew Wyatt, Anthony Rosamanato, and Mark Rosnan, and produced by Gaga with Benjamin Rice. Song is heard 3 times in the film. Yeah. So it was written for it.
I have not heard this song before. I do not care for their performances in this.
No,
they're like very slurry, which, from my understanding, fits with Bradley Cooper's character.
Yes,
but I don't understand why they're like doing their whole performance just like this.
I don't know. Where did you listen to it?
Spotify. I was just listening to it.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe it's because you haven't seen the movie. It fits the way it sounds, fits the ambiance of the movie perfectly.
Sure. I can appreciate that. My next pick, I kind of had to play kind of loose with these rules at this point. Although no, I have 2 more that are like movies or film or TV shows or whatever. One of my favorite ones is Bonkers by Dizzy Rascal.
I don't know that one at all.
I wouldn't expect you to. He's a British rapper. It's in the movie. It's in the Kingsman movie.
Okay.
I tried to look it up to see like where exactly it was. I think it's in like the church shootout or in the chase scene that follows. But this song is just like so high energy, so fun, and it's just like cool. It fits the sort of theme of the movie, the sort of like not taking itself too seriously, just like be fun for a movie. And this is just fun for a song.
That is definitely.
It also sort of opened me up to like British rap a little bit more, because then I found Stormzy after this. And like whatever his song is, Boot Too Big or something like that.
Yeah.
Big for your boots. That song is cool as hell too.
Interesting. But
yeah, I know.
It's a cool way to share music.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like it's not just it's not just popular songs, because it's like you're getting more in-depth look into somebody's personality. It almost feels like, because there's just more of a connection to those songs than just something they hear on the radio and like the sound of. Yeah,
you're like digging into why does it fit this so well? Why, this song is fun, the movie's fun, they fit together in a way that you have to stop to analyze a little bit. Where are you at? Did you already do your 5th one? I'm losing track.
No.
Does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. I still have 2 more.
Okay.
Well, I have 1 more, and then I have an honorable mention because I had to be put in for you.
Okay. I'll do a couple here because one of them is a real stretch. So College Humor, did their like videos, right? College Humor apparently still around, but there was one video that they did that was basically an office tour, set to the song "Flagpole Sitta" by Harvey Danger.
Okay.
I don't know if you would know this song.
I know who Harvey Danger is, but I don't think I know the song.
You probably know the song. If you know Harvey Danger, you know this song. Okay. This is the song that they're known for. Okay. So, and I don't know, it's just a cool sort of video. They're just sort of like going through the office. I'm going to actually see if I can find the video now and send it to you. See if you know the song, because the video is just kind of cool. Yeah. Is that the song that you know by them?
Yes.
Yeah. I would be amazed if you knew any other song and not this one. Yeah, that's the one.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know the name of the song. So, and honestly, I knew the name. I couldn't even associate this song with them.
But I doubt that you probably don't know any other song.
Probably not. That's the thing. Danger. I'm just saying I know who they are. I couldn't associate any song with them, but now that I definitely know the song.
It's so funny. Harvey Danger's a cool band. They have a song that's about the movie Vertigo. Okay. Have you ever seen Vertigo? It's with
the movie.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Shit, what's his name? Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith goes to Washington. He's, oh my God, my brain is done for. Whatever. Anyway, the song is about the movie Vertigo, and I just like went back and like watched a bunch of classic movies this winter that I had never seen. Citizen Kane, Vertigo, North by Northwest, things like that. And it was so funny because I'm watching this movie and I'm like, this sounds familiar. Carlotta Valdez, huh? I know that name. This band that I like has a song by it that I like. And I'm like, this song is about the movie that I hadn't seen before. That makes sense. This classic movie that's like part of film classes.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Old school. Yeah, I think I watched that back in my stint of needing to watch like the top 500. Mm-hmm. Nah, it was on the list. So it's been years since I watched it, but
it's it's a good movie. I think of all the ones that I watched, that one held up the best. Like North by Northwest, I kind of didn't get. Like Citizen Kane, I understood the like cinematography of it and why it's so good there, but the actual story of it, I just did not connect with.
That's how I feel about Star Wars.
Yeah, sure.
Like I appreciate what it is and what it did for cinematography in that time period and pushing boundaries, but like I just don't connect to the story at all.
Yeah. I can understand that. You're not a big fantasy person.
No. I mean I really like comic book stuff, but
yeah.
Outside of that,
Star Wars is I've heard people describe Star Wars as a high fantasy series with a sci-fi skin on it. And it's like, that's exactly what it is. Like there's straight up magic. The Force is magic.
Yeah.
And you don't really connect to that. You didn't connect with Game of Thrones. You didn't connect with Lord of the Rings, although I blame that on Clerks.
No, I think I want to go back and watch them again and give them another fair shake. I think my attention span was just too low to watch them when I was younger. like a 3-hour movie seemed like an eternity for me.
Sure, yeah. Well, maybe try to find like the non-extended versions, because those are a slog that you really only want to watch if you're a fan already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you watch them and like them, maybe watch the extended, but like I think the Return of the King extended version is like 5 hours long.
Yeah. Why?
Because it's good.
That's just nuts. 5 hour long.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It I don't know. There's so much like depth in lore for Lord of the Rings that the movies do a really good job of paring down and editing around to make it seem like a complete piece. Lord of the Rings is maybe the best adaptation of a book to a movie ever.
I can respect
but
that.
There's still a lot of stuff that's left out. And
like
the extended versions just, exactly. The extended version just adds some stuff back in.
Yeah.
That's appreciated for fans already.
Okay.
My last one for a movie is going to be from Napoleon Dynamite.
This one almost made my list because I think I know which one you're going to say.
Is it Canned Heat by Jamiroquai?
Yep.
Yeah. It's such a good song.
Yep.
And like
such a good scene too.
Yeah. Jamiroquai was the Virtual Insanity band.
Yep.
To me, that was the only song they had. And then this song plays and it's so good. It's this movie. I love the movie so much. Everybody in that movie is perfect too, which is so funny because you saw John Hader in like one or two other movies after that. You saw I don't even know the character Pedro. I don't even know the actor's name, but I saw him in one movie after that. He was really good, and then everybody just sort of faded away, except for the girl from Waterworld. She made her way back.
It's kind of like the same thing with Vincent Chase and Entourage. Like he was in that one movie, Crazy something, I think it was called, with Melissa.
Oh,
whatever her name was. Sabrina
Adrian
the Teenage
Grenier.
Witch. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in a.
He's in
I
a
don't
few.
know if he was in things after that. Actually,
he's not in a lot of stuff. Like,
yeah.
I mean, not when you think about it, not with how good Entourage was.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a huge star. Like he doesn't have a ton of roles past that.
Yeah, it looks like he sort of took a break.
Yeah.
He took a break after that.
Looks like he's starting to do maybe a little bit more again, but
yeah.
It's just surprising.
I thought he was in something before Entourage that like got him that role, but I can't find what it was.
I'm pretty sure it was Drive Me Crazy.
Drive Me Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it was the
that
one.
Makes sense.
It's the one with Melissa Joan Hart.
Yep.
Because it was like the Sabrina the Teenage Witch love story.
Yeah,
which was
right.
1990. You think back then that was huge. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like that whole.
Yeah,
it's the beginning of that craze. So that makes sense. Okay, well, I got two more. I got my last pick and then my honorable mention. My last pick is from the movie Donnie Darko.
That's
the final scene with Mad World.
I didn't remember this, but yeah, this is a good pick.
It paints the ending scene and the entire experience of the movie perfectly. And it did okay when the song first released, but this movie skyrocketed this song.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't even a hugely popular movie, but it's a cult classic now.
Oh yeah.
But it's just, it fits it perfectly. That adaptation of it. So if I'm correct, I believe it was different. Like they slowed it down for the movie version.
Yeah, it's not chopped and screwed, but it's a different rendition. They slowed it down.
Yeah.
Made it a little more. That one's 3 minutes. The original is actually longer, but it is higher tempo. Yeah. Because I like the original too.
Yeah, the original is pretty good, but just that. Oh man, that almost gives me chills just thinking about it, because I remember the first time I ever watched the movie. Yeah. Like sitting and watching that movie by yourself in the complete dark with a good sound system is an experience everyone should have. Yeah. It was just, and maybe it was because I was younger and so impressionable, but it was just mind blowing to me. I loved that movie the first time I watched it.
That movie is it sticks with you in unexpected ways. Like as I age, I kind of I remember bits and pieces of like the adult characters. You know, as a college kid, a teenager, or whatever, you're like in it. But even the adult characters are like incredibly relatable as you age. So if you watch that movie and it's stuck in your mind, I'm like, man, these adults were really going through some shit at the time too.
I think it really depicts the range of Jake Gyllenhaal as well.
Oh God, Jake Gyllenhaal. Did you watch Okja? You got to watch Okja. It's a masterpiece of acting from Jake Gyllenhaal. He's this like big character, but it like doesn't feel ridiculous.
Yeah. I will have to give that a go. Yeah. So that's my last one for my actual list, but this is an honorable mention, and this one kind of steps outside because it's not in anything, but it fits the category of could be used for so much, and I only know it because of you, and that is Black Licorice by Peach Pit.
Yeah.
It fits the stereotypical indie movie scene song perfectly. Like you think of some kids skating down a roadway or something in an indie movie. Yeah. And it is the perfect song.
I think their music video is like a perfect template for what it could be in a movie. Like some teens just like kicking around their neighborhood, doing some jackass shit.
Yeah.
Just like living their lives, loving it. But like there's this underlying sadness because it's an upbeat song. It's in a major key, except you're singing about how you don't feel like anybody wants you.
Yep.
Yeah. It would be a great song.
Yeah. I think it would be perfect. Like a kid like skateboarding in the rain away from everything. Like it just, it fits. I could see, God, what's his name? Oh, hold on. I got to think of the person's name.
Michael Cera,
yes.
Okay.
But I'm thinking Elliot Page before them switching over. So some of the early movies that they had done. A lot of that. Page. Yeah. Formerly Ellen Page.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. Yeah.
All of the like Juno.
Sure.
That style would be perfect.
Yep.
Even I don't know if you watched Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, I have watched Umbrella Academy, but Umbrella Academy is so tied up in My Chemical Romance for me that I can't see anything else other than Gerard Way's musical direction fitting in Umbrella Academy.
I guess I could see that. I could definitely see
that's just me. Like I could appreciate it, but it's he's just got this particular voice in music that he seems to have translated perfectly onto the screen.
I can respect that. So I think that does it in for my topic this week. Hopefully,
I have one last honorable mention.
Oh,
it wasn't actually in the thing. It's from a video game trailer. But Doomsday by Nero in the Borderlands 2 trailer.
Okay.
Do you know this song? It was playing behind us in replay constantly.
Yep.
Like that song, I love it to this day because of Borderlands 2.
Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't even in the game.
No. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I had forgot about that, but
yep.
Dude, and that just goes to show you like the power of audio.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
It can just place you in a specific place and time. Like you just said, in replay, standing there, listen to it and on repeat over and over and over again.
Yep.
Huh. What about you? What have you decided to talk about this week?
My word. I had a hard time thinking of one, but I feel like I landed on something that was it may end up being a little heavy, but hopefully we can sort of get through it. I tried to keep the questions positive because I know there's a lot of baggage that comes along with this topic. But the word that I chose is chasm. And this got me thinking of, it's a large gap. And I think the way that I've heard this word used most is through like generations. There's this chasm, this experiential chasm between baby boomers and millennials and zoomers. And while that's true, I think there's some stuff that, could be useful to have been preserved.
Yeah.
So that's where I went with it. I just came up with a few questions, things that I hope are a little heavy. I hope you were able to come up with answers for them. I made sure to ask questions that I personally could come up with answers to. So hopefully it's okay.
That's just the first time seeing it. So I'm going to let you speak first on it while I come up with answers.
Okay. So my first question is, what is a knowledge that will be detrimental if it's lost from a previous generation? Or maybe that's not the best way of phrasing it. It's something that I think is useful to have learned from previous generations that we and people younger than us may be losing,
Okay.
I chose possibly a controversial one, but it's animal slaughter. Maybe not the best way to put it either, but like my father tells a story every so often of how he would watch, his grandparents like prepare a chicken.
Yeah.
You would go to the store, you would buy like a chicken, probably already dead, but not processed.
Yeah,
you would go and you would boil it and you would pluck the feathers and debone it and all that. And I think that is something that is useful to know. Not necessarily how to do it, but just the connection of where our food comes from.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know what farming actually is. We live in a farming area, like upstate New York is a farming area. Contrary to popular belief, everybody just thinks the whole state is, either pine trees or the city.
No, I mean, we're huge on agriculture and
especially around me. I have so many just vineyards and apple orchards, and there's a few big soybean farms around me. In a Utica, there's all those dairy farms. You almost can't go around a corner without seeing another dairy farm. And our school was right next to a dairy farm.
Yep.
So it's like that sort of thing is the type of thing that I'm thinking about here, like learning where our food comes from and understanding what has to be done to achieve it, achieve that dinner on your table is detrimental. I think factory farming is an issue in that because a lot of factory farms start up and there's some horrible things that go along with that, which makes people want to turn a blind eye. But part of turning a blind eye is just letting that stuff happen again. And there's a lot of stuff like I live literally right next door to an ethical farm. They raise goats and sheep, and they slaughter them and sell them. They foal them and sell off the foals, and it's a whole thing. And they do everything right. Like they sell meat that's kosher and halal. So like they're doing it right, not just keeping them penned up. But I think losing this knowledge, where our food comes from, particularly animals, has led to a lot of abuses in the farming industry. And something we have to be aware of more than we currently are. I don't know if there's a better way to clarify what I'm talking about. I feel like I'm rambling, but
I get exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So with that, has it like brought something into focus for you?
Kind of. I don't know if it's necessarily knowledge more than a mindset. I feel like there is way less pride in the things we do by a lot of people. And I think that kind of plays into some of what you're saying as well. So like, for example, I have a friend in North Carolina whose family owns a butcher shop.
Yeah.
And I could go in there and watch them cut up the meat that I order. And get the stuff exactly how I want it. And understanding, that what goes into it. And you could see why it is expensive to go to something like that. But there's way less people doing those things.
Yes.
Going to the butcher or even becoming a butcher.
Yes.
And I think that's something that we're losing. People don't have a sense of pride in their work that they do. It's all fun and games to hate corporate America and corporations because there's a lot of asshats involved in it, and they do a lot of bad stuff. But I also feel like we're losing grip on people taking pride in their work.
Sure.
And wanting to, put out something great. Yeah.
I think a lot of this has to do with corporate America, it used to be you sort of got an apprenticeship right out of high school, right? And you learned how to do things when you were like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 years old. But now it's like you're supposed to identify what you want to do and then spend however long studying for it. And then you get into corporate America where the emphasis has stopped being on the pride and the way to do things, and it's all about the dollar, the efficiency. And they want you to treat your job as a lifestyle, but they also just want to protect their dollar. Investment. Like it's come to the point where I personally feel this way, and I feel like other people do also, just judging by sentiments online. But my job is something that allows me to do a passion and not a passion myself. Or for myself. I don't know. That's how I view it. And
I think the problem is there's a lot of people that feel that way, but they don't have a passion. So there's not people replenishing those jobs and opening. Don't get me wrong. There's some. I just don't think it's at the same rate. There's not people chasing their dreams because it's so much scarier now. Yep. Well, and
it's the myth of unskilled labor too. It's like a carpenter, people call that unskilled labor because you can just be a roofer and go and nail up some shingles or a joist or two. And people call it unskilled labor because it doesn't require a college degree. But like
that's skilled.
That's incredibly skilled.
I couldn't do that.
No.
I mean, I probably could if I learned and had experience doing it, but like I couldn't go do that right now.
It's, maybe call it hard labor. It's not an easy job, I'm sure.
No.
But like unskilled labor is the greatest myth that we've been sold as a society that is dependent on doing jobs to gain money to pay bills instead of just earning your way through your town by being a cobbler.
I just think that it's misused, the term, because there's definitely unskilled labor. I think people are just confusing unskilled with unneeded. Like because it's not a skill, like being a gas station attendant or a McDonald's cash register worker is not skilled labor to me, but it's needed labor. It doesn't make them any less valuable.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's valued versus undervalued labor.
I mean, whether we like it or not, like look at what happened during the pandemic. Like, people got pissed when your worker, you can't go to your favorite restaurant and get your food because there's no workers.
Yep.
Like, you need them. Like you might not think that they're worth as much as you, but they need to make a living still, and they make your life easier.
Yeah.
Like I just think people don't realize that, because the biggest thing now is people are willing to pay for convenience. And I think that's where the gap is. People don't realize that those unskilled labor people are a convenience, which means that's what you're paying them for.
It's funny because we're seeing like another labor revolution right now, right? Like the first one happened during or immediately after the Great Depression, with the formation of like labor unions, the shortening of the workday to 12 hours and then to 8 hours, the establishing of the weekend, all this stuff, paid holidays, vacations didn't exist before like the 1930s. And people fought for it for decades in order to get this stuff, and sort of been eroded a little bit. Now we have this unbalanced work-life balance, and we're seeing like another labor revolution. People are sort of identifying the value of unions again. Starbucks in particular, you see just a wave of stores unionizing, and the company that people 2 years ago would probably say, it's a different time now. Why do we need labor? Why do we need a union? And now we're seeing why, because as soon as employees try to stand up for themselves, Starbucks will just take away these stress mats. And now these people have to work on bare floors. It's the same stuff that's happening over again. It's cyclical. We've been propagandized into thinking that this hasn't been an issue for like 30 years.
Yeah.
But it's still there. So I guess we'll move on. I was trying to keep this less heavy, but
I don't think heavy's a bad thing. I mean, I think they're.
I know. I'm cynical about it all. I think we do
a good job of navigating topics without touching any sensitive chords.
I'm cynical about it all. I picked this word and my wife was like, you're gonna have a hard time not railing against this or that. And I'm like, I'll do fine. My questions are pretty positive. I came right up to the edge right there, just like getting on my soapbox.
I feel like we're like a good balance though. Like we may have similar opinions, but we think of things differently. So I feel like we're a good balance. I feel like I definitely am more of a positive thinker, like all the time, like upbeat, like So I feel like there's a good balance to it.
I like to be internally. I think I can be fairly negative, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, identify the positives and things. So this next question it doesn't fly in the face of it because I think it's lighthearted. I want to keep this one lighthearted. What is something that has been lost from a previous generation? So something that you know of that we just don't do anymore, that people like made a big deal about, but actually ends up being kind of a moot point because the times are different, right? My pick for this one, I think, will demonstrate what I mean, is cursive.
Oh, yeah.
Like people, not to generalize too much, I'm not speaking like of individual people. Anything that I say is not about individual people. Generational sentiments, I don't want to reflect on any individual person, because an individual is fine pretty much no matter what. And well, whatever. But like generationally, like boomers got so mad when I think us, right? Like we were one of the first waves of people who was like, why would we possibly need to learn cursive? And they were like, well, actually, it's because you need to write a check. I finished my first checkbook last month. You know what I mean? Like the promotional checkbook that came with my bank account when I opened it up when I was 18 that had 50 checks in it. I finished it last month.
I haven't had checks since 2010.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And
I tell my mother that all the time. She was just like, last week, she was like, I got to order more checks. I'm like, why? She still pays everything, but they don't have a debit card.
Wow.
They do everything by cash or check still. They refuse to use online banking. I'm just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. Online banking's the way to go. Like,
I get so mad, and I was just actually thinking about this today. I used to give every place a benefit of the doubt. When I walked in, it was cash only. It's 2022. Stop avoiding taxes. That's the only reason you're not taking anything but cash. We went through a
pandemic where we weren't allowed to handle each other's stuff.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a square machine?
Yeah. Like there's just no reason for it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I try to, because there's places around here that still only do cash. And I try to like think of other reasons. No, there is the processing fees. Here's what the processing fees, the most you're going to get. It's what, 30, it's a percent, 2.9% plus 25 cents of the transaction. Okay. So on $1, you pay 27 cents, 28 cents roughly. If it's a singular dollar.
Yeah.
Nobody have it and have a threshold like pizza places do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to not have it, there's no reason in 2022 other than you're avoiding tax stuff.
Yeah.
It is so easy to set up. It's not
trying
difficult.
To cook the books.
You're hiding something.
Yep.
There's no other reason, because it's a huge inconvenience for consumers. Like take, for example, Voss's, still cash only. There is days upon days that I'm like, you know what? I really want to go get a chili cheese dog from Voss's. And then I think to myself, I'm like, I have to stop at the gas station, go into the go to the ATM, take money out, get back in my car, drive over there, get out, order it, pay an extra $3.25 to take my $20 bill out. So now the cost of your meal just went up $3.25.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Like
you gotta get a better bank that doesn't charge ATM fees then.
I mean, for the depending on what thing.
Yeah, that's true. Like if you get one that like
private ones, they're not, unless they're covering their ATM fees. You mean? Because like they're still paying them.
There's a I know of a few banks that do cover ATM fees, but there's banks that are on whatever it's called, network. Allpoint.
Yeah,
Allpoint, a network that they just network through and waive the ATM fee.
Yeah, so no gas stations, and most gas stations and stuff like that aren't on that because they're privately owned.
I was on Capital One for a while, and it had like a ATM finder on there that would map out where is the closest Allpoint ATM to use.
Yeah,
I know Bank of Utica uses Allpoint also. Before I switched away from them, they started using that so that you didn't, because Bank of Utica has 3 ATMs.
Yeah. So, but that just goes to the point. Like that shouldn't have to be my thought process. What's the closest ATM that I don't have to get? Just take.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, take fucking card. Like, like there's no reason not to.
Yeah. Get a corporate phone. Get a Square plugin.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
And it's the same thing too. It's like, I get that it's just a little mom and pop thing, but take orders over the phone. Take like,
oh God. Yeah.
Like they don't do anything. It's just you walk up, you pay cash, you get your stuff, you sit outside or you leave. They don't do the little numbers anymore because of the pandemic, like the little letters or plastic letters or numbers. They just do name. But it's like, man, there's no reason. I love the place.
I know.
But
it's so hard because they're just like stuck in like it's still 1950. It's not even just the theme that is 1950. They're actually behaving like it.
I mean, especially with like a inclusion of Venmo and Cash App and all those different applications that you can just send money through. Like the necessary like time to have cash is not now. You can lose cash.
Yeah.
I can't lose. I can lose my debit card, but my money's in my bank account. It's not in the debit card. So like, somebody else could take that.
I lost my credit card at a restaurant. Like I didn't lose it. I knew where the last place. I left it at the restaurant. It didn't matter. I have GPay. I just used my phone to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And it took me like a week to get back to that restaurant. So yeah, I get that.
Well, and it's like, say you were to lose your credit card, you can go onto your app and shut the credit card off. Most of them.
Yeah,
Right
exactly.
then. If I lose $100 in cash, it's just gone.
Yep. You have to ask around. Hey, did you find a $100 bill?
Did you happen to find $100 bill that you're not going to say is yours?
How honest are you?
Yeah.
I'm pretty honest. Okay, did you find $100 in the parking lot?
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah,
I can't. Wow, we went real off topic with that. With the cursive talk. So. I mean,
I don't think so. Cursive, and it sounds like your answer is like in-person banking.
Yeah. I mean, they make it a huge thing. Like, and I was going to say like balancing your checkbook.
Oh yeah.
Like my sister still does it. Like I know how to do it, but
what's the point?
What is the point? And yes, you still have to pay attention, and I can understand like keeping receipts and stuff to go across it if you want. But you don't need to actually keep it. Like you can just cross-reference it digitally if you need to.
Yeah. My checkbook is the mobile app that I have.
Yeah.
That's my ledger. If I look through it and I see a double charge, I call my bank and I'm like, hey, it got double charged. And they're like, okay, we'll freeze that payment.
Yeah.
It's like, the next step is just cutting out that call, just put a button or whatever, but still like at least have it kept track of it. Like, and the other thing is that digital app, that digital ledger is way more reliable than me.
Yeah, because it happens. You don't have to remember to write it.
Yep.
It just happens when you swipe the card.
Yeah.
You don't. There's so much less to worry about.
Yeah.
It's like, there's mistakes, but there's far less mistakes by the computer than by a human. Yeah,
for sure. But you still hear people. I was talking to my aunt this past weekend, and I was like, she was talking about, she was sending out invitations for something, right? And you were telling me about that place where you send it in, they print everything, they pack everything, they send everything all at once. You just pay them the fee. And she did that. But then she's like, I want a thing for myself. So I was trying to print this thing out from Excel, just like 2 columns, and it turned out way too big. So I tried to resize it, and everybody's going by going, why are you trying to print it? And she's like, so that I have it. I'm like, you already have it. It's in an Excel spreadsheet. My uncle comes walking by and she goes, they're making fun of me for trying to print out a thing. And he goes, what are you trying to print out? It's like an Excel spreadsheet. He's like, you don't have to print the internet.
Yeah. I feel like that's also, that might be what I would say one of mine is not having a printer. That's another good one.
Oh, yeah. I do still have a printer. For some things.
I don't need one.
There are some things that it's a thing that most people probably don't have to deal with, but Nicole and I like to go to theme parks, right? Mm-hmm. It is nice to print off tickets to things.
Why?
Because
for like a memory?
No, because we go on vacation, right? With Nicole, myself, her brother, and someone her brother brings. Usually we have 4 people, and like it's a pain for her to find the email, scan one, swipe, scan one, swipe, scan one, swipe, scan one, swipe while we're standing at the gate.
Okay.
So we print them off, give everybody their own, and then everybody goes through with their own printout.
Okay.
It would be a moot point if everybody bought their own ticket, because then everybody would just be able to pull it up all at once.
See, I think that's gonna go away here in the future anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because this kind of goes into the talk that we had a little bit, but that's another example of how an NFT could be used.
Yeah. Well, for an event that makes sense, but for admission to a place,
no, it still makes sense because you could buy them, like say Nicole bought them, and then she could transfer it so that the other 3 people own them. Like they don't have to charge a fee. Then it just becomes a convenience for you. Like you could transfer the tickets and then they could scan it themselves with no fee. So it allows it to be an actual digital item. That ticket is it's a digital thing rather than just being numbers on a paper.
Yeah. That feels like a lot of infrastructure to build for that to be practical. Really. I'm not saying that it's not like useful, but in a strictly practical sense, like everybody has to have some access to the blockchain.
Everybody's going to.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, because
it'll we'll see one of the big social networks buy up Polygon or one of these things. So if you have Facebook, you have something, you're going to have a blockchain access, and then it'll just be tied to your email. So she would literally just like, maybe I'm thinking of it because I do like web stuff as well. So it'll just be click a button, type in emails, and it'll transfer them. It'll be no different than sending somebody a e-gift card.
I guess maybe you have a different perspective on it, but like I got caught up in the crypto boom or whatever. So I was like, I'll start getting into it or whatever. I'll actually learn about what it's all about, and I actually start getting into it, and it was like such a pain. Like by the time I figured out how Dogecoin works, it had already crashed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's the thing. Those meme coins and stuff, none of that matters. We're in the infancy right now.
I don't even mean like that sort of thing. I just mean like that was a flippant example, but literally like for me, a pretty tech savvy dude who's like a power user and all this stuff, like it was not easy for me to figure out how to access these things.
Okay.
And like that's all I'm saying is like
the best way I can explain it is that it is as much of a jump. What NFTs and Web 3.0 is going to be able to do is going to be the equivalent of how our parents felt. How you're feeling is the equivalent of how our parents felt when the first home computers came out.
No, I get that. I do get that. I get what you're saying.
So it's just harder than normal.
Yes. My point is that there just needs to be an infrastructure built up to pipeline people into this. You know, it's a confusing thing. Like for our parents, home computers were incredibly confusing because the barrier to entry was so high. You had to drive to Syracuse to get to the closest computer store. And, and it was like, it became a thing with Circuit City and Best Buy and these stores that actually stocked these things on the shelves so that you can go on and access them, see them, get hands on before you buy them. And that's the type of infrastructure that's going to have to exist for blockchain technologies before.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It already exists. It has to be integrated into everyday life. And that's what I mean. Something that we already use is going to be attached to it. So it's not going to be, because it's not like you have to have this whole new thing. It can just be hooked to an account.
Yeah. Doesn't that kind of defeat the point of it though? Isn't it supposed to be like decentralized? If you're hooking your wallet to an account, doesn't that sort of get rid of the sort of...
Yeah, I think no. So it is decentralized technically because nobody has the keys. It's hooking it to your account.
Okay.
So like,
I don't know.
You still own your wallet.
Okay. Yeah.
If you just but everything you have is in a vault, not in your wallet.
No, I get that. Yeah. No, I understand the difference between like public keys and private keys and that sort of thing, whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called, but I understand the difference. It just seems weird to, I guess, link an account to it, specifically because we know that you can't trust the tech companies with your stuff, Yeah. If Twitter does this, they will abuse it the same way that they just got caught abusing the 2-factor authentication thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is supposed to be a security feature and they're using it for marketing. Like this is going to happen if a already established company starts doing this. So that's going to be the issue.
So then you do raise a good point there, and it might not be owned by another thing. But it's hard to say it won't be, because like I was just thinking about like, you use Cash App. I own I use Venmo. Cash App's owned by the same guy that started Twitter.
Cash App's Square.
Yeah, but the main guy that like founded Twitter, he's like the guy that founded Cash App too. And it's the same thing with Venmo. Venmo's PayPal.
Yep, Venmo's PayPal.
So it's like even those, but it's like those were completely new and people made accounts. And I just think it's going to be that. It's just going to be that next thing. I know it's hard to see. Here's the thing: it's easy to get wrapped up into it because right now it's a gimmick, and it's laughable because there's like a real world.
Yeah, I said, you are the first person to explain to me an actual use of NFTs.
Because I think most people are caught up in how to make money with it rather than what kind of utility it can bring.
But I think this is the perspective that I'm bringing to it, is that I am on the edge of it, right? I'm plugged into certain things where you would realistically think that I would know about these things, and it still seems difficult and intimidating to me.
Mm-hmm. Until it provides a convenience for you, it won't seem necessary.
I guess, yeah.
But once there's something that you do that is more convenient to do with it, you'll adapt to it. And that's just how we are.
Yeah.
It's like, think about back in the day, how everyone wanted to own their own physical albums and do everything, and now everything's streamed digitally.
Yeah.
Just because like the thought of having an app on my phone to get all my music was just like, why, when I can just buy it and own it? Now
I think people still want we're just gonna rehash this until we're on our deathbeds, but I think people still want the physical copies of things. Are you familiar with the store Limited Run?
Yeah,
like they make physical copies of digital only games and sell them. And Gamers Nexus had a video where they went to the first brick and mortar store that Limited Run opened, and there was a line around the block. Like basically the entire state of North Carolina went to that store on opening day. I was like, people still want these things. I think games are particular.
They're big collectors, but it's still even that, like, on the zoomed out scale is still so small.
Yeah, that's true.
Compared to like your everyday thing. I think that's just something my self-awareness is like really focused on in the last like year and a half. Is like, as corny as it sounds, like that movie thing where the satellite zooms in or out of the earth. Like that's how it feels. Like I'd really try to get that bird's eye view of everything. Like I was just a dot on the map along with everybody else.
Yeah.
What makes the most sense.
Yeah. And, I do too. And I think you and I are just like zooming out or zooming in from different places.
Well, it's because we have different experiences.
It's really, even after you told me the one particular aspect of it, it's really hard for me to see the utility in NFTs, and I want to. Crypto, I do understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not the like saturation of the market the way that it is now, with safe coins and moonshot coins and all this other stuff. Like there's a saturation of the market that is just killing whatever industry could possibly crop up from crypto currency. And hopefully one or two, there's probably enough money in Bitcoin that it'll survive. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum will survive. Yeah. The others will kind of probably fall to the wayside. Mm-hmm. But I think, honestly, I'm telling you, on the grand scheme of things, 20 years down the road, NFTs will be a bigger push forward than Bitcoins and stuff.
I look forward to seeing it. I have open arms for it. I really do. Like it sounds like I'm being negative.
Just NFT. Web 3.0, because there might be stuff that stems off that I'm thinking of that doesn't really fall in.
Uh-huh.
But Web 3.0, which is what this structure is the start of, will be more of a thing. It'll be a bigger jump forward than Bitcoin and like decentralized payment.
I don't get Web 3.0 either, but that's a topic for another day.
Yep.
What I wanted to finish with is, we can focus on the negatives a little bit too much. Obviously, like talking about cursive and the banking stuff really is where it's easiest to think about these issues coming from, is the negatives, right?
Yeah.
But like everybody's got positives to them. Everybody wants to say like kids these days and blah, blah, blah. Kids these days are the same as kids those days. And that's what we all need to realize. So specifically looking like we are millennials, right? Just by definition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a podcast, so obviously we're millennials.
That is true.
But specifically looking at like the big generations sandwiching us, right? Generation X, we'll just continue to forget about them because they had it easy, to be completely honest. But looking at boomers and looking at zoomers, I want to really identify one particularly good aspect from each of them. So I don't know if you've, looked at this and if you've been thinking about it, but if you want me to go first again.
No, I can go. That's fine.
All right, let's go back and forth on each of them. So we could do boomers first.
For me, boomers, it's just going to be work ethic.
Yeah.
They just don't quit. Like they just have this drive in them. Yeah. That like, yes, it may be bad. Like it may be that all they care about is work, but they just have a drive that so few people have now. I mean, look, about like our fathers, like my dad specifically, like he's going to be 80 next year.
Yeah.
Still mowing the lawn, still doing like that drive is just nuts. Still getting up and putzing around, building a deck on their outside of their camper, doing. I don't want to do that now.
Yeah, I know, right?
And he worked at his last job before retirement, still longer than I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still outside building stuff and mowing the lawn and weed whacking and picking up sticks.
How old's your father?
He's 79.
Technically not a boomer, but okay.
So what is he then?
He would be a traditional.
Oh, well.
But I think that's besides the point. Like that's sort of education, but
and them
still
finished would fit the same thing, because I don't think that changed until our generation and newer.
Yeah. I have such a hard time being positive. I think I don't know if I see that as a positive. I remember
I do.
It is, right? Like I know that it is, but I guess it's my perspective on it. Like I remember seeing this like feel good news story, right? Like just a fluff piece about this nurse that was like 80 years old and still working, right? And I was like it was supposed to be a feel good piece. Look at how dedicated she is. Except at the time, nursing students had such a hard time getting a job. I'm like, this lady is taking up 2 personnel spots, having worked there so long. Like her salary is probably so high that if she just quit, they could afford to hire 2 more people, and she's just in the way. So I don't know. That's how I don't know. I don't think
you could blame that person for being in the way.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to talk about, personal things, but I think that's the way that I think about it generationally. Like, I know that it's hard. Like Bob Dylan's a boomer, and he made a whole song about this, get out of the way for the younger generation. It's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to be positive, but I do understand what you're saying. Like, a guy at the post office, like, worked for 40 years.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that. I'm already planning on my retirement.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't even necessarily mean that just the time they're at work, like they just have a drive to get up and do things.
Yeah.
That a lot of people just don't have now. Like, we enjoy sitting around so much more. And I don't know if it's because priorities have changed so much. And, we're not like, this is what a man is supposed to do. This is what a woman's supposed to do kind of thing. Whereas now we're not like, oh, I have to go. I can't quit doing this because this is my job. Like those duties were still your job.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
I think this just jogged something in my memory, or maybe like fused a connection that I hadn't made before. But I remember reading this article about the value of being bored. Like we're not bored anymore, right? You and I, we are not bored ever. We have our phones. Like we can say that we're bored, but really we're just like browsing our phones, like doing a thing, right?
Yeah.
But those people, the boomers, when they didn't have something to do, they just had to sit and figure out something to do.
Yeah.
And there's value in that. There's value in being bored. If you don't have your phone and you just sit and look at a wall, like your brain is doing something even though you aren't. And there is actual value in that. And that's another thing that we have apparently lost.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where they get it from.
Yeah, that is a very good correlation. So, I mean, look at your father.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't want to stop.
No, he's got to be doing something. If he's not doing something, he just like does random stuff that's not necessarily good for him. Like he goes, to Walmart, or he goes to this store, or he goes to that store. Like now he's in that position again. I don't know if you know that store that he was working at down in South Utica, wherever it was. Place. Yep, they just picked up and left.
Really?
So they're gone now. He doesn't have a part-time job anymore.
They picked up and left. Did they just get bought out?
No, I don't know. Maybe they got bought out, and my father just didn't stay on working for the new people. But as far as I know, he didn't tell me specifically. He was talking to Nicole about it, but yeah, apparently that they're just gone. So. Or at least the person that he worked for. So I don't know.
There was two people that owned that, and the one main one I think was planning on like stopping doing his portion and going to work for a competitor as a salesman.
No, I don't know.
So they might
maybe that's what happened.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think my positive for boomers is the way that they can advocate for themselves, though.
Yeah,
like just like I don't know, the term social anxiety has become part of our vernacular.
Yeah,
in a way that I can identify. Like, I don't want to call somebody. Like if I have to call Spectrum, it's like a nightmare for me. And I don't know, maybe that's part of the sort of distancing of people who are actually useful from the end user. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk to somebody.
I just think they didn't have an option.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
They didn't have an option.
I think it's become okay because we can get away with it. And when you don't have to do things and get comfortable with doing things, things are scary.
Yeah. Well,
and that's why people have such social anxiety and stuff. They're not, obviously there's the mental health aspect of it, but it's even more prevalent now because you don't have to have interactions for a lot of things that you don't want to anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's even things like I feel it personally, like I'm getting better at, making my point for what needs to be done. While, still having my customer service, perspective on things, not yelling at poor phone reps, but even small stuff like I just went to the doctor, get my elbow checked out, and I had a couple of things that I probably should have asked them, but I don't know, they didn't seem important at the time, so I didn't. And they weren't like it was like, should I get a prescription strength allergy medication instead of the over the counter one? It's like not important.
Yeah,
actually. But I don't know, that sort of stuff. Like, there's people out there who don't feel bad going into the doctor and be like, my elbow hurt.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like more and more people are like, I don't want to.
I think
bother
that
him
now
with
that
my
I
hurt
think
elbow.
about it, when we go back, it's like the things that we just made fun of them for and saying it is not needed, at least on my end, could be a huge reason why we are that way, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just like, we don't need to go into a bank.
Yep.
But you used to have to, and you had to be comfortable going in every Friday and standing it face to face. And like, banking's kind of a personal thing. So you had to get comfortable with doing a personal thing out in front of people with a complete stranger face to face. Like, if you were broke and you had $5 in your account, and then you just got your check for working part-time for $50, and you had to look that person in the face and let them, like, them seeing you only had $55 to your name.
Yeah.
Like, that builds character, I feel like.
Sure, yeah. I was going to say, well, you still need to do some things in person, but now, like, with like Rocket
Mortgage, you don't even have to buy a car in person.
You don't even have to buy a car in person. You don't have to get a mortgage in person anymore.
Yeah, that like, stuff you can just trade your car valuable. In and buy a new one completely online.
Yep. We want to switch banks, actually, and like, that is something that I don't feel comfortable doing, away from just on my own, like, there's something that I will be missing. I want somebody to sit me down and say, okay, this is a checklist of things that you need to do.
Yeah.
So, but we were supposed to do it this past week when we both had it off, and then we didn't. So,
yeah.
But moving on, now we'll turn our gaze to the dang kids these days. You have something about Zoomers that you sort of admire or appreciate, because like, they're entering the workforce. They are whatever they are now. 97 is when Gen Z starts.
Yeah.
So they're 25, 24 years old now. That math doesn't work out, but ignore it. What do you see in kids these days, I guess, young adults these days, that you do appreciate their perspective on?
Adaptability, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
More has happened, and from the amount of time we were born till the amount of the time those kids were born, or from the boomers were born until when they were born, than the previous, traditionalist section. You know what I mean? So like, they're coming in where like, yes, you have more access to information, but you also have to filter through all that much more information. So like,
there's a lot to filter.
Their ability to adapt and like just succeed is crazy. Like, there's stuff that they have to deal with that we just never will.
Oh yeah,
never had. I mean,
this is like the Italian government hiring teenagers to sift through like actual literal false news, right? Like, they can spot decent sources better than even people our age.
Yeah,
just because they've grown up with it.
Yep. Yeah, I just think that they just learn. I mean, look at little kids, for example. Like, this is kind of a funny story, but I was just reading it today on my lunch. Actually funny enough, a person that is from the same general area as you, she's a 31-year-old mom, and she's pregnant. She's pregnant right now with her third child, and her oldest she had given the oldest her phone, which her oldest is, I think, like 2 or 3, given her phone because she was playing a game on it, and she was like being quiet, good, and she was like, you know what, I'm gonna go take a shower while she's occupied, get a quick shower in. Like 5 minutes into the shower, little girl comes running in with the phone, and mom just thinks that there's an ad that she can't get to go away in the game she's playing or something. So she, like, the little girl hands her the phone, and the mom quickly realized that the girl had gone into the Instagram app and pressed the live button and was broadcasting.
Oh, God.
So she takes the phone from the little girl and she's broadcasting to people in the shower.
Oh no.
But like, so it's kind of, it's funny, but also like petrifying for her.
Yeah.
But I think that little girl
figured it out.
It figures out how to do stuff. Like, these kids are growing up learning how to use phones and tablets. Like, Mike's daughter is 3, about to be 3, or just turned. No, she just turned 2. What am I talking about? Just turned 2.
Oh, man.
And she's running around, sits with her tablet, plays games. Like, her cognitive ability is through the roof from playing all these, like, I mean, it's like the blocks through the holes game that our parents had, the different try to put a star through a square thing on steroids. So like, there's all these different games that these kids are playing to match colors, match shapes, learn stuff. Like, she's still got 3 more years before she's going to hit kindergarten.
Yeah. It's impressive what the benefits of technology are impressive. Along with that comes baggage.
Yep.
That girl knows how to use Instagram. Is that a good thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
But their adaptability, their ability to learn things at the rapid speed that they're happening right now is incredible. Like, kids have always been like that. They pick up new technologies a lot quicker. As soon as like reading became part of the national curriculum, like, all of a sudden literacy in the country shot up to like 80% just because kids are so adaptable. And now we're seeing the same sort of revolution, but on screens. So that is neat. For me, I think I really appreciate their humor. I guess is the broad category to put it in. I mentioned to you like the sort of post World War II like abstract movement, Dadaism.
Yeah.
And Zoomer's humor is so strange. It's just, you just see this thing that's like, worship the shoe, and it's like, what does that even mean? It means nothing, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it's the sort of same sort of thing. Like, after World War II, everything just seemed meaningless, and Generation Z is defined as the kids who can't remember what it was like for a world to not be at war.
Yeah.
Their first memories were post 9/11.
Yeah.
And this has informed their whole lives. And everything at this point just seems kind of meaningless. So they have this like really absurdist, abstract, surreal humor that I am so into. But at the same time, the other thing that I really admire about them is that they just do not put up with the old's bullshit. Like, some people try to tell them stuff, and it was really like that SpongeBob meme, the SpongeBob chicken meme where everything's written in intercaps, capital letter, lowercase, capital, lowercase.
Yeah.
Like, that one meme as a vehicle for mockery is absolute gold to just show somebody how ridiculous they're being, and everybody gets it.
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't matter what generation you're from. They have found a way to communicate through text over the internet across generations. And honestly, that is something that I really appreciate them. It's just not putting up with old's bullshit. Like, ourselves included. Like, if we, step out of line, Zoomers will put us right back in.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm okay with it if they're right.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But if they're wrong and they're just doing it because they're an asshole, no, they're going to hear something.
Well, I feel like this is a feeling and opinion, but it was juvenile at first, right? Like, this developed while they were in their teens, but now they are entering the workforce. They're entering college. And it's sort of transitioned into a more mature way of using these things, which is interesting to watch for me. I feel like you see it in the workforce too. Everybody gets caught up in the, people just don't want to work these days, right? But I just feel like these young people are just less tolerant of older people's bullshit than we were brought up to be. We were taught that there's a certain amount of bullshit that you have to put up with before you can be in that position. And these kids are just not having it. It can be a problem, right? There's a balance to be struck in everything.
I think it can be funny, but I also think it's overused, because I think that what happens, that being so young, because I was the same way. They don't have perspective. Like, it's okay you can call it bullshit, but if you're just looking at it from a different perspective, and that's why that seems bullshit to you.
Okay.
Unless you're considering both things and it still doesn't make sense, then I'm okay with it. But not including somebody else's perspective and then getting mad that they don't see it the same way as you, I feel like is a huge misstep that I didn't learn until I was like 30.
I can appreciate that, but I think what I'm getting at more is like, the sort of workers' revolution that we're seeing through the just like printed out sheets on storefront windows.
Yeah.
Like, we've all quit. Those sorts of signs, like that stuff is these younger people just not putting up with the sort of bullshit. Like the actual, and by that I mean like the actual jackassery of employers sometimes,
Yeah.
I was in a Burger King, and this kid was just like educating his manager on basic labor laws. He's like, I'm here, right? And I'm working 12 hours. He's like, and that means I get 2 lunches. And she was like, just waving her hand at him. And he was like, no, you don't understand. I'm taking a second lunch because that's what is required by the law. And like, that's one particular example, but I feel like a lot of this stuff is indicative of that sort of attitude. Just we had access to so much information that we got lost in it. We drowned in it. And it's hard for us to sift through the information to figure it out. I remember one of my friends bringing up like, hey, did you hear that these scientists like froze light? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, they froze light. I'm like, okay, but like light's not matter, right? Like freezing something means that you bring the molecules down to
change the
like like light is molecules in an excited state. So how do you have something that's not moving in an excited state producing light? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, you can't just, he's our age. I'm like, you can't just hear that. You can't just see that on IFL Science and just say it. Like, that doesn't mean anything if you don't have the context for it. And the kids that are younger than us, Zoomers, born 97 and after, they grew up in this stuff and they have a sort of better barometer for where things come from. A lot of times, this has taken a toll on them too, with targeted ads and unrealistic expectations, way more than people like us had looking through magazine ads.
Mm-hmm.
But the positive aspect to it is that they are more capable of sifting through bullshit and coming out the other side with actual facts and actual ways to explain their perspective on things.
Okay, I can get that.
Again, that was another rambling thing that I hope that I made my point with, but
you did. I think they're both valid points. I mean, I think there's a fine line that you have to walk where they're doing it correctly or they're just being the stereotypical Zoomer asshole that is the opposite of the Karen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because there are those too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the white girl that gets way too upset about racism.
Yeah.
Which, like, hats off to her, but like, it's someone else's battle.
Yeah, not your battle.
Yeah,
you just exactly. You got to walk the line between being an ally and just wanting to be trapped and being included.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Did you do yours with the Zoomers?
Yeah, adaptiveness.
Jesus, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I feel like those bled together really well, though, our conversations. Did. So that was...
And Mondays just fry my brain, so...
Yeah, that was good.
So, yeah, any last points that we have to make? Anything we...
I surprisingly, I feel like we say this, I've said this last episode too, I think. I thought that this was going to be a super short episode.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how much more time we're going to be able to fill with these two topics looking at it.
Yeah. No, I when I hit on mine, I knew that it was gonna take some time. They're simple questions, but there's a lot to dig into with them. So
yeah, that was a good topic. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I like it too. You brought up like we gotta choose topics to challenge ourselves, not just choose food. And I was like, between this one and what's your favorite candy? So
yeah, that's true. No, I like this because I do feel that it brings more of an intellectual side of it and makes us think outside of the box, be a little more interesting.
Yeah. At least a little more introspective.
Yeah. And rather than just their typical list kind of thing, I feel like this is a good way to spice it up.
All right. Well, why don't you start taking us out?
Okay. I'd like to give some acknowledgement to Josh Wardle, the creator of Wordle, and Freddie Meyer, the creator of QotS. If you like any of our content, or if you play QotS on the daily, you can find him on Twitter at QotS, and you can donate a coffee. We definitely have already, but it helps go a long ways to support a game that we love and has turned into something pretty fun.
Yeah, I had to try to describe Wordle to someone this past weekend.
Yeah, dude, I did too. It's tough. It's hard to explain it.
This person knew what Wordle was, and
I had to try to explain it. I had to try to explain to somebody that didn't know what Wordle was, and it was like I was trying to put a star through a square hole.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't understand. They were like, it's a crossword puzzle. I'm like, no.
Use Mastermind. People know what Mastermind is. Just say it's Mastermind for words.
Yeah.
But you guys can all follow us on our socials. On Twitter, we are at Quord on the Street, QUORD on the ST. Instagram, we are at Quord on the Street, spell it all out. YouTube, you can listen to us or watch the videos, which is just a blank thing over there. YouTube.com/Quord on the Street. If you're listening to us over there, like, subscribe, and comment. Do the YouTube things. And anywhere that you're listening to us, please, if you have the opportunity, review us on Apple Podcasts, whatever, Good Pods, Overcast, Earwolf, I don't know, any of the places. Please review us. Tell us what we can do worse.
And if you have anything of longer form that you can't send in a direct message or something of that nature, you can email us at quordonthestreet@gmail.com, or eventually be able to check out our website, quordonthestreet.xyz. If you
can go there now.
Oh, you can go there. It's just
you just can't submit things.
You just can't submit things yet. You can get a hold of us on our personal Twitters. Mine is I'm Scuzzy at IMSKUZZEY.
And I am at V_C, spell out the underscore. And with that, we will just ask you to get the Quord out.